In a related story, Secretary to the Government of the Federation SGF, Boss Mustapha, has inaugurated the Presidential Transition Council, describing it as a demonstration of the administration's key commitment to strengthening key governance institutions that support the democratic process. President Muhammadu Buhari had on February 7th signed Executive Order Number 14 of 2023 on the facilitation and management of presidential transitions, which provides the legal framework for a seamless transition of power from one administration to the other. Mustapha noted that although the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria sets out the overarching framework for the assumption of office of the president, this is the first time in Nigeria's history that the federal government will be establishing a detailed process for managing presidential transitions of government at the federal level.
This is the first time in our history as a country that the federal government of Nigeria will be establishing a detailed process for managing presidential transitions of government at the federal level. It is with great delight and honor, therefore, that I am carrying out the onerous task of inaugurating the Presidential Transition Council on behalf of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In line with Executive Order Number 14 of 2023, the Council is charged with the responsibility of facilitating and managing the 2023 Presidential Transition Program. The Council will, amongst other things, one, facilitate the handing over process by the current President to the President-elect, organize for security of the President-elect and the Vice President-elect, including coordinating security briefings on the nation's security matters post-election. And thirdly, organize for the necessary facilities, including fully furnished office and personnel for the President-elect and his and her transition team.
I'm sure that all of us will work together to ensure that we leave no stone unturned in facilitating the smooth transition of governance. And so it is also on behalf of all members that we also appreciate the SGF for the commitment he has made this morning, that he would ensure that we have everything we need to work as a council.
Let's talk about the Transition Council now. Abu Hamisu is a political analyst, is joining me for more on that. Thank you so much, Abu, for your time here. Indeed. Now, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustapha, describes the Transition Council as a demonstration of the administration's key commitment to strengthening key governance institutions that support democratic process. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this long overdue process.
Well, it's only countries that don't learn from their mistakes that will repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Governance is partly responding to people's need, as well as deepening institutions that will serve the purpose for which they are established. And one of the things that we don't do in this country is to have institutionalized processes that will drive a process. And that is what the executive order has just done. Previously, before this very particular time, the process has always been ad hoc, and then before you know it, the transition committee will continue to ask for more time. But when you have institutionalized process, it becomes a routine, so that subsequent administration will not have to go back to the previous period where we do things in ad hoc manner, and then we don't get things right, we rush and so on and so forth. So for me, this is early in coming. It's a welcome development. It shows that the administration has learned from what happened between their own transition between the PDP and the APC in 2015.
Speaking of learning, Mustapha notes that this is the first time in Nigeria's history that the federal government will be establishing this detailed process for managing presidential transitions of government at the federal level. Now, it will start to sound like a subtle indictment on the past administrations. What do you think?
Of course, that is just the truth. There is no any word for it. Because if, for instance, as an incoming administration, I found it difficult to interact with the member of the departing government to the extent that we were having frictions and there was no time for us to interact properly, to get the handing over notes, to get the information we require, to the extent that we'll be asking for extension, and then we hurriedly package transition process and then we deliver without having to achieve the objective of that transition, then there is a problem. So it takes a learning government, it takes people that are concerned about deepening the process, about ensuring that we have smooth transition that is institutionalized in accordance with our own peculiarity. Then we are not going anywhere. And that is why I see this as a novel idea and something that we need to welcome, is something that we need to support. As you said, it's an indictment on the previous administration. Because if I see any arrangement that is ad hoc, that did not deliver on the objective that is supposed to deliver, then something is wrong and I'm supposed to address it, and not letting it be because I am leaving government. We are not assisting Nigerians to develop institutions that will support processes in procedures.
Away from the Presidential Transition Council, it's about 11 days to the general elections in Nigeria. The atmosphere, as we have known it, seems tense and uncertain due to the scarcity of the new Naira notes and fuel. How will this impact the elections in your view?
Although the INEC chairman raised some issues around the scarcity of Naira note and how that will affect the operations. And then in the same vein, the civilian governor had assured the INEC chairman that all will be well and fine. But we're talking about Nigerians, people that will need to ride their bicycle to some locations to go and cast the ballot, people that will use their motorbike to go cast the ballot, people that will need to even stock their homes with food. And then you can find the new Naira note, the old note is not in circulation, and the civilian governor is insisting. The question I want to ask, is the central bank governor working for himself or is working for Nigerians? We are saying, give us all we require in order for us to be able to live a decent life. These monies are our monies in the bank. And you said you're doing this for the security of Nigerians. What is the security of Nigerians if Nigerians would go to their beds hungry with their money stashed in the bank? So we're
saying a critical point to note. We're grateful for your time, but that's all time we have for. Thank you so much.